Hey friends, welcome to Tech Smarter. My name is Abby Ritchie. I'm the tech guru with the Smarter service, and you can find me right here every Wednesday talking with people who are actively engaged in aging services. This is where we connect with innovators, operators, and investors who are impacting residents and caregivers and patients' lives. It's an exciting place to be. And before we get started today, I want to thank our sponsors, Leading Age Arizona, as well as the Smarter Service for producing this episode. And if you are a senior living operator and you're struggling with the many questions that your residents have, whether it's helping them move in with their 5 to 7 devices, or just help them get something fixed so that they can get on with their day. If that's something that you're struggling with, go ahead and reach out to me on LinkedIn, send me a message, and let us help you. We have professionalized this service. So without further ado, I would like to bring on my guest today. I have Cory Sills of Covenant Village. Welcome to Tech Smarter, Cory.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, you're welcome. Cory, for anyone who's not familiar with you, could you please introduce yourself and let us know how you happen to land in senior living?
Covenant Village, we are a life plan community in North Carolina, in Gastonia, which is near Charlotte. And I've been here for 12 years. And before I was here, I actually worked for a company that was a vendor. And I was with that company for 4 years full time. And then before then, in college and high school, I worked for them in the summers. And Covenant Village was a client of theirs. And they got to the point where Covenant Village called and said, "We need somebody full time." And here we are.
So you've been in it for quite a while. You've felt the call on your heart to serve older adults. And, I'm curious, did you have any experience working with older adults before starting at Covenant Village?
I did not. When I was working for the previous company, they would send me to help certain residents that were clients of theirs. And so I took up a computer or a printer or something like that, but that was probably the extent of it.
Gotcha. So many of us that are working in aging services have had an older adult, a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent that has needed this type of support. And so I've met so many people that are just so heart-centered in working with older adults. And, with your position at Covenant, I am so curious what you've seen transform in the past 5 to 7 years.
A lot has transformed. It used to be computers, maybe an iPad, but now it's computers, iPads, TV, smart home. They want to be connected. They want to have everything at their fingertips. And so there's really a lot more technology going on than what we used to have.
Yeah, one thing that I noticed is purely a strong desire to be connected, right? And so it's whether you're using a watch, you're using your iPad, you have a heart rate monitor, whatever the phone, whatever the case is, I really believe that COVID accelerated that desire to get connected. And I saw so many changes in the space during that time. All good. And you guys recently launched a major technology plan. What was the driving force behind this long-term roadmap for your community?
We felt the need. We started this process 2023, 2024ish, and we felt the need at the time to evaluate our state of technology, where we're at, and then to figure out where we wanted to go. And as we were talking, we decided we need to come up with that roadmap of how to get to where we wanted to go. And so whenever we did that, we brought in a third party company to help us and to help us facilitate the plan. And so we came up with the plan, and it's meant to be a rolling plan, so something that we update every year or as major initiatives arise. And so that's one of those plans that it keeps growing. It's a living plan.
And how much of this plan was steered by your technology committee?
So actually, the technology committee came out of the plan, so we didn't have anything like that beforehand. It was more me and the CEO talking and trying to figure out where we were at and what other communities were doing, what our residents wanted, what they were going to want in the future, and how to be best prepared for that.
And this resident tech steering committee, how many people are on it, and how frequently do you meet to collaborate and discuss how to direct the technology within your community?
Yeah, so there are 12 people on it. It's a combination of residents, frontline staff, leadership team members, and and department heads. And so we meet quarterly. We started out meeting once a month, but we felt that was a little too frequent. And so we space that out to quarterly, and that's a good cadence. And so it really allows us to be able to get the most for what we do.
Nice. You know what I found in working within communities and with different tech committees is that there are usually maybe three people who are very advanced in their working knowledge of technology based on the careers that they held, and their expertise is just invaluable. Have you found that as well?
We have. We just opened up a new villa, Stonecrest Villa, and we've had several residents that moved into the villa that have backgrounds in technology. And of course, we had existing residents that had those backgrounds. And one resident, he actually had a hand in the original smart home development in the 1980s. And so it's been really neat as he's moved in over the past month or so to pick his brain and talk to him. But yeah, it's been really invaluable to get that input from the residents.
Yeah, I recently read something on LinkedIn, and it said something like, "Hey, wake up, you guys! The people who developed that computer, the people who developed that, wireless technology, the people who developed that printer, they're living in your communities. They're
Mhm.
wise, they're experienced. Like they were the ones who started this all, and yet." They're often looked at as being far behind. And that is not the case at all. Like they are the visionaries who created a lot of the technology that we're working with today.
Exactly, yes, and it's really great to learn from them and to hear their perspective on how they came up with that stuff and how they intended for it to be used.
Yeah, 100%. And even though they may have intended it to be used in one way, the way that the technology has developed and grown and adapted over the years is just amazing, especially the speed of light that it's been happening. I'm curious because I know that I heard you on a podcast recently about modernizing your community with different types of software. How have you been able to really work on the back end so that the day-to-day aspect for the residents is seamless?
Yeah, so being able to integrate that back end stuff to make it where everything works together has been a really big help for us. The podcast you were speaking of was with when we were with MatrixCare, and we that was very nice to be able to roll that out because now all of our front of house financial stuff, business office stuff is on the same thing as our EHR, and so to be able to have all that data together, it works really well. So whenever we do transitions to levels of care, that makes moving the resident seamless. It makes the resident nurse, when she sees independent residents, she can build that file up on the residents. And then if they ever have to go down to the health center, then we have that information already built and they don't have to have separate files and different things to refer to. And it's all in one place.
Gotcha. Yeah, the other component to this that I'm thinking about is really the training of the staff. Like, how do you train staff so that they understand the full value of the new technology that you're implementing? And how do you keep them updated on any feature requirements?
Yeah, so whenever we do that training, we try to train on a group level, departmental level, and then even a job level if we need to. And show them how that technology is going to make their life easier, not harder. If it's going to make their life harder, then it's not worth it. They're going to check out right at the beginning. But if you can show how it's going to help them, then they'll be more invested in it.
Have you found a generation of, say, staff that has also evolved through the technology adoption?
We have, yes. There's been a lot through my time here. We're very blessed with a lot of tenured long-term employees, and so being able to train them and show them how it's going to make their life easier. That's been one of the biggest things that we've had to focus on is giving those people a little more attention to show them they may not have come up doing their job with a computer, but now computers are there, iPads, smart home, all the different things. How can all this stuff help them do their job easier?
What are some advancements that you've seen in the technology that come to the forefront of your mind when you're thinking about how much easier staff roles and responsibilities have become with technology?
Yeah, so I'm going to use MatrixCare as an example again. Being able to have your business office and your health center on the same page really helps when being able to keep up, let's say, the census or being able to send things back and forth. You don't have to go to multiple places. It's right there. The proper staff can access it and get what they need, and there's less confusion, and being able to electronic digitize everything has been a really, really big help. You don't have to go to big file cabinets and figure out, okay, there's this person, this person, this person. You can get it a lot quicker.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just being reminded of the days in which I used to travel before all the records were electronic. And yeah, sometimes I'd have to travel with a duffel bag of records with me in order to continue working. And things have just changed so much. One thing that has I'd like to, it has changed. It has gotten worse. It's more prevalent. It's just the introduction of so many scams and cybersecurity threats. How do you address those within your community?
So we do it two different ways, on a residential level and on a employee level. So the resident level, we this year actually we've began having cybersecurity classes, and so we've been going through scams, we've been going through ransomware, we've been going through all the different things you see, and then on a staff level, we have had through one of our managed service partners, we are doing we're doing training on cybersecurity. And so each employee, they have mandatory training they have to go through. They'll get 1 week, they might get a video they have to watch that trains them on phishing scams or something like that. The next week, they might get a quiz they have to answer that refers back to one of the previous training sessions on how to tell a phishing email or a social engineering attack. And then they have the quizzes they go through. And if they fail a quiz, then there's remediation that they have to go through until they learn what they need to do.
Yeah, you know what? It's what I found is that awareness is huge, and you can teach a once a month class on
Mhm.
scams or and scam fraud and scams, but actually that's not enough. Like it
Mhm.
needs to be a regular conversation where it's being discussed all the time, what the trends are, what we're seeing. A lot of times it's seasonal, like right now we have travel scams, for instance. And it's an ongoing conversation that allows people to be aware that this is happening every single day. And unfortunately, older adults happen to be um, a common target.
Exactly, yeah. And the good thing about what we're doing on an employee level is that training doesn't take them 20 minutes a week, 30 minutes a week. It's short, simple, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and it's meant to be repetitive so that they can see it and not take a lot of their time. And what we do on the staff or on the resident level is meant to be a little more broad to show them, you know, there's always something out there. It's always evolving. And one thing we actually just recently did, our dining management company, they sent in their IT team and they did a series of classes with the residents, which were really, really popular. And I think we're going to do that probably quarterly now. And the residents really enjoyed being able to hear from a bigger company that sees a little more than what we do, so they kind of have a better have their finger better on some of those newer scams out there. So it's good to get a variety of training so that you're not getting just the same thing over and over.
Yeah, and sometimes that training comes in different forms. Like sometimes some residents are going to appreciate it in a classroom setting. Some residents are going to want to see it in on a video. Some of them are going to want a handout, that kind of thing. And just in order to continue to inform and educate what's happening out there. Do you guys within your community have anything like a scam or fraud policy and or a way for people to talk about this without them feeling shamed?
Yeah, definitely. So I wouldn't necessarily call it a policy, but they know that they can call. There's two of us in the technology department, and they know that they can call anytime and go over an issue with us. We just had a resident not too long ago had a scam, and they called us and said, "We, I think I've been scammed," and we worked through that process with them. And we don't tell anybody. We'll just work on it with them and make sure that they're good, they're comfortable. The one caveat is if it's a financial scam, then obviously sometimes we have to get family involved or somebody else involved that can resolve that issue. But most of it is I clicked on something, somebody took over my computer, or somebody's asking me for money. Should I do it?
Yeah. Yep, I feel ya. I know that really well. Within Covenant Village, you guys place a huge emphasis on lifelong learning and active lifestyles. And so I'm just wondering how the technology is evolving to support the educational goals of your residents.
Yeah, so one big thing that we are really emphasizing this year is we started a pilot brain health program, and that brain health program uses a lot of technology. And what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to help you tell if what your likelihood of getting dementia or something like that is down the road, or if you already have it. And so that's been very helpful to have that technology to let the residents have those one-on-ones with the company we're using to go through that with their iPads. They've been able to do some of their tests and some of their onboarding with that for the residents that are choosing to participate in that process. We just launched a big lifelong learning program this year. Every other week, we have somebody from the outside coming in teaching the residents something. And so obviously technology has been a big part of that, being able to do presentations, different things like that, that's been able to bring them that learning opportunity.
That's great. If you're talking to another CTO or you're sharing your wisdom with them because you've been in your position for over a decade, what is a piece of advice that you'd give them about implementing a new piece of technology?
Listen to your residents, listen to your committees, listen to your staff, and get their input and make sure they understand what they're getting. If they don't understand it, they're immediately going to check out. Whenever we did our first ever POS, probably right after COVID, point of sale in the dining room we tried to implement, it was a huge failure. Let's put it that way. It was a huge failure. And really, that was probably on us. We didn't do the training like we needed to do. We didn't help them understand how it's going to help them. And so we learned a good lesson on being able to train and help people understand what they're getting.
And sometimes those huge failures, they're the biggest learnings around, right? Like they teach you what you should have known, what how to do better next time. And I know just in terms of owning a business and helping older adults, like you put a lot of effort and heart and soul into implementing something new that maybe you love, but it doesn't work for them.
Hmm.
And that can be disappointing, but it can also be like totally revealing at the same way in finding out what the needs really are. And I want to ask you, what is a way that a community can future proof their senior living community based on things that you've learned?
I think having that strategic plan really helps. It lets you evaluate where you're at right now, and then you can come up with an endpoint. But that doesn't have to be the ultimate endpoint. It's an endpoint that can keep moving, but you at least have an idea. I want to get here. I'm close to here. Now we can get to here. We can get to here. We can get to here, and you can continue to build on it. But if you don't have that plan, I think it's a lot harder to be able to gauge where you're at and where you need to be. If it's kind of a la carte blank thing, it's really helps to be able to visualize that.
One thing that we found in working with many technology departments in senior living communities is that often the IT department is about 6 months behind their strategic initiatives because they get focused on helping residents with their tech support. And so I'm just curious at your community how you've been able to balance those two dueling needs.
It can be tough at times, but we've made it work. I'm fortunate to be able to, we are a two-man department, but being a two-man department, we've put a lot of effort in having one of those positions really be geared towards resident help so that they don't feel left out. And first and foremost, that's what we're here to do, is help the residents. And then we'll focus on the other things. Now, obviously, things like cybersecurity, HIPAA compliance, those we have to really put a lot of effort into that. But if we can take care of the residents and then be able to focus on those initiatives, then we're really good.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Cory, if anyone wants to connect with you offline, what's the best way for them to reach you?
My email address would be great. You can just email me and I'll get back to you.
Wonderful. And I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I also want to thank Leading Age Arizona for sponsoring our episode. And we will see you all right back here next week.